Hi, everybody. Don Giannetti, lighting-essentials.com and project52prosystem.com. I wanted to talk a little bit today, and I did this previously on Facebook Live, but I thought it was pretty good talk, and I wanted to get it up on my YouTube channel as well. So what I wanted to talk a little bit about is the, I guess it's ergonomics, or it's the physicality of making photographs, and why I kind of miss, excuse me, I kind of miss the old format choices that we had in film. We're not going to get into film versus digital and all that crap. I'm a digital photographer. I shoot some film, but there were some things about shooting film that I really enjoyed, and I really miss them. And I thought I would explain why. Maybe makes you think about photography in a little bit different way. I know that I tend to think of photography in a different way than a lot of other people. Sometimes that gets me in trouble, and sometimes I just don't care. Anyway, gotta get this hat blocked again. Gotta get it blocked again. Dumb. Anyway, all right, let's talk about it. Here's the thing. When I started photography, the very first camera I owned was a little 35 millimeter with a fixed 200 millimeter lens on it. The person who gave it to my dad, and my dad gave it to me. He had a 200 millimeter lens on this old camera, and I shot with that for about 6 months, a 200 millimeter lens. So when I got a chance to get a 50 millimeter lens for that camera, it was like a giant view of the world. It was like a wide angle. I couldn't believe it. Excuse me. But it got down to a situation where I knew I couldn't keep shooting with that 200 millimeter. So I bought at the camera store. I bought a Yashica mat, and it was in those days. I think it was brand new. I paid a lot of money for it. But my dad loved twin lens cameras and 120 film, and so I went with it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. So that was my first intro in photography. I saved up my pennies and dollars and coffee can and went down to Bob's Camera. It used to be over on Camelback and 40th Street, Bob's Camera, and bought this camera. This is the camera I bought. This is a Nikon F2 Photomic. It was brand new when I bought it. It was a big meter on top, and it was a big deal. This is not an autofocus camera. I bet you knew that. This camera is really old. It's older than my kids. It's probably older than two of my kids put together, but it's an old camera. Still works. Sweet. And I still make a lot of photographs with it. The physicality of working with a camera, where first when I would put the camera to my eye, I would see a long ways off with the 200 millimeter. Then with the Yashica mat, that was a twin lens camera, and I had to look down into it. The idea that the change from shooting 35 millimeter like this, where I have one eye open and I can see the periphery, I can leave both eyes open. I'm looking through the camera, and I'm looking at the periphery. And when I'm looking at the subject, my face is towards the subject, the camera's towards the subject. When I'm looking through a twin lens camera, I'm not facing the subject. You see the difference? The subject is not looking at me anymore. When my head goes down into that viewfinder, I now do not have any visual reference of the peripherals of the image I'm taking. The only image I see is what I'm looking at right here, and my eyes are focused right to that camera, whether it's a twin lens or later a Hasselblad. My eyes are focused down, so I'm not seeing what's happening out there. The subject is also not looking me in the eyes. Do you think that makes a difference in the photographs we make? I do. I really do. I think the physical changes are something that changes maybe the way we look at a photograph, maybe the way we think of making a photograph. With a 35 millimeter camera, like my EOS here, with a 500 millimeter lens on it, all I have to do is push the button and it makes a photograph. I don't have to wind the film, just push the button, makes a photograph. With my old F2, I could make a photograph, and then I had to wind the film. So there was a break in between each shot. There was a little bit of a break. Now we don't have a break. When I was buying cameras back in the day, and this is a 60D, I bought this for a specific reason, and that is it had the swing out viewfinder on the back so that I could put the camera at different locations physically. The Hasselblad camera is a camera that's designed to be shot waist level. Here. So I would go down to it, focus on the focusing screen, and then come up here and shoot it. Now I have a little bit of periphery all the way around me here, and I have a tiny bit of up there, but I can't see the subject. The subject is only here. Does that change the way we make photographs? Does it change the way we think about the photograph we're making? I think it does. When I would get a call for a job, or I would get an idea that I wanted to shoot in the studio or on location, the very first thing I thought about was format. Am I going to shoot it on 35? Am I going to shoot it on 2 1/4? Am I going to shoot it on 4x5 or 8x10? Each camera would deliver a certain type of image to my brain, my pre-visualization brain. The camera, the size of it, the weight of it, the time it takes between exposures. These cameras, we just bought motor drives for the bottom. We could shoot 4 frames a second. Bang, 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 bang. There were times I did that. Even the motor drive on the Hasselblad just shot about 1 a second. Ba-bang, ba-bang, I mean, just this thing, you know, you just didn't have to stop. With a Hasselblad camera, take the photograph, move the winder out, wind it, put the winder back, take a photograph, pull the winder out, do it, or you could leave it out if you wanted. And then in between changing rolls, you had to put the dark slide in, take the back off, change the roll of film every 12 images. That made this a different type of camera to shoot. And because it was slower, it's a little bit more deliberate. There was another camera that I shot that was 2 1/4 film as well. I just roll out of the frame there. Always do that with video. Roll out of the frame. That was this bad boy. Now this camera lives somewhere in the middle. I could bring it up to my eye level here, but you see it's not the same as this, and it's not the same as this. It's in the middle. And it's big. And when you advance the film here, let's go ahead and take a shot here. You advance the film there, take the picture, advance the shutter, advance the film, you're ready to take another picture. So there's quite a bit of a break. Whew, forgot how heavy this thing is. Quite a bit of a break between making the photographs. That change the way we make the photographs? I think it does. I think the size, the physicality of what we're using helps determine a little bit of the type of image that we make. I know personally, I don't take the same kind of images on 35mm as I take on 8x10 or 4x5, or even 2 1/4 for that matter. I make much different images on my Hasselblads and my RBs than I take with my digital 35s or even the 35mm cameras. And lately, since I shoot mostly on digital, and I'm shooting a little bit of film every month, because I'm so deliberate on 35, I don't even shoot 35mm film the way I shoot 35mm digital. It just, I take more time. I started as a very deliberate photographer. Everything was deliberate. A couple of reasons. I started with a medium format camera and a 35mm camera with a telephoto lens on it. So there weren't a lot of shots that I could get. I only shot the shots I wanted. Number two, I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't grow up with money. So a roll of film and the development chemicals and all of that, paper and all that stuff, that was something I had to fund. And I wasn't going to go out and shoot 40 rolls of Tri-X to have, knock yourself out kind of fun with it because it costs a lot of money and time to process it. Let's look at another physical way we take photographs, and that's with this big guy up here. With a view camera, you don't put your eye up to the camera at all. As a matter of fact, you stand back here. Now you check focus with a loop. You can check the focus, but you're back here taking in this negative. This is the size of the negative on an 8x10 camera. 8x10. That's one sheet of film right there. The whole thing, one piece of film. And that piece of film comes in a big holder that's heavy, and only 2 pieces of film per holder. So if you're going to go out with this camera to make photographs, and you're going to carry this camera and that lens and this tripod or its granddaddy and 4 film holders, you've got 8 photographs, but you're carrying probably 50 pounds to make 8 photographs. Maybe 40 pounds. I don't know. I know these big old bogans are damned heavy because I got to carry them. They seem heavier these days, but I don't know why that is. When you're looking with this camera, you've got a black cloth over your head. You're looking from here. You're standing back. The fact that you've only got 4 or 8 sheets of film with you for the shoot slows you way down. Every sheet of film has to count. Now, commercially, when we would shoot digital, of course, the client was buying the film. So, I mean, not digital. When you're shooting large format like this, the client's buying the film, so you can buy 30 sheets or 40 sheets, 50 sheets, and shoot it and just charge it to the client. And that would be the way we could bracket, or what I would call security bracket. What was 2 sets of bracketed images, 4 sheets of film, 2 at normal, 1 at slightly like a half over, 1 and a half under, have them processed, and then have a total second backup set to process if something happened to those first ones. Or if 1/2 over was too bright and on was just a little too dark, then we could, fudge the processing of the normal sheet, still having a normal sheet left. Also, never take both packets of film to the lab at the same time. If there's a car accident, you've got an extra set of film to get you through. So that camera is very deliberate. Whatever's in the frame, you catch. When I was a photo teacher way back when, one of the things that my students learned real fast, not to say in class, was I didn't see that. They'd work on their photographs, would have an 8x10, or in some of the critiques, I like to have them make a 16x20 of their critiqued image. They'd put it up on the wall, and we'd start to critique it. And I would say, well, what's this? Or well, why is this happening here? And they'd say, oh, I didn't see that. Well, you really only had one job. To see what's in that corner, to that corner, to that corner, to that corner, that much of the world. That much of the world you control through your viewfinder. That much of the world. That's on you. Don't tell me you didn't see it, because I don't know what the hell else you were doing. Were you getting a massage while you were shooting and you just forgot about that whole quadrant over there? One job. What's in the frame? And that's all on you. That's your frame. That's your moment that you clicked it. When I would want to go to do a portrait, sometimes portraits are just, the thought of the portrait, I would just see it as the 8x10 camera. I would just see that 8x10. That's the camera I want to use. And everything that led up to that photograph would be dictated by the fact that I'm using a very large camera, have very few sheets of film to shoot, and everything must be perfect going in. I don't want to waste 4 sheets on a bracket and get one photograph. I would like to get 4 sheets, 4 different shots, if it's possible, when I'm shooting for me. If there are other times when I just had to shoot the Hasselblad, I wanted a square image. I wanted a square image. And there were times when I would shoot the RB because I wanted a rectangle. The RB is a 6x7. That is 6 centimeters by 7 centimeters. It's 6x7, and what it does is it blows up to a perfect 8x10. So just think of that as a smaller 4x5 so to speak. 4 by 5 blows up to 8 by 10. 8 by 10 is 8 by 10. And those different cameras, the way they would physically feel and be in your hands or on tripods, and how fast you could shoot with this camera. You can shoot faster with a Hasselblad than an RB, faster with an RZ than an RB, much faster with 35 millimeter than any of the other cameras. And then if you put a motor on it, you know, you're 3 or 5 exposures per second. My goodness, shooting everything, shooting whatever you want. But the ability to choose formats is probably the only thing I really, really regret not being able to do anymore, or as much as I'd like to. I'd like to be able to have a digital camera that I could look down into. I'd like to have a digital camera that I could stand in back of. I'm not even really sure I care all that much about the size of the image anymore. I mean, I really don't. If the image was just the same as a full frame 35, but I was looking through a device like this that slowed down, maybe it had a triple scan or something, I don't know, but slowed down, I would love that. Those don't exist anymore. I did buy the 60D a couple of years ago when it came out, mainly because it gave me the flip out screen. The flip out screen gave me the ability to shoot up here, put the camera up here and shoot, put the camera here and shoot, put the camera down on the ground and shoot. That was huge for me. Now they haven't put it on the top cameras yet because I don't have a freaking clue in hell why they haven't put that on the bigger cameras. They're saving it for the next stupid update, and where you get 4 more megapixels and, oh yeah, the screen flips out because that's new technology. We haven't had that but for like 11 years. Anyway, not about big camera companies. It's about making photographs, and the emotional feeling I have. It's almost zen, I guess, in the way the tools work with me in my hands and in the field, and how the subjects relate to them. Subjects relate to this camera far different than they relate to that guy. Far different. That camera almost holds awe and mystery for the photographer and the subject. This camera, they're used to it. Everybody's got one of those. Lots of things. I hope that I hope I didn't bore you with this, but I do find that the physicality part of making photographs transfers into the aesthetic part of making photographs. And like I said, I think we make different kinds of photographs on all kinds of different cameras. And in the film days, there were more reasons for it than there are now. But we're getting there. We're getting there. That's why I have a mirrorless, and that's why I have a Nikon DF, and that's why I have Canons, and that's why I have a little Holga up there. It makes absolutely terrible, beautiful images. And I've got film cameras that I can jump onto every once in a while. So it's just the idea of the physicality of it, and the size of the tools, etc. I wanted to talk about. Thank you so much. I hope I didn't ramble too much, but if I did, my apologies. See you next time.